trapped in a lift, losing blood rapidly, with only Ross Barton and a traumatized Mackenzie Boyd to save her. Sound like a nightmare? For Charity Dingle, it's just another Tuesday. Next week's Emmerdale is looking proper shocking, from life or death deliveries to careers hanging by a single fraying thread. If you thought the Dales had given us every possible disaster, you might want to sit down for this one. Jacob takes a massive gamble. Jacob finally finds his backbone, but at what cost? We all know Jacob Sugden hasn't exactly had the easiest ride in the village. From the horrific grooming ordeal with Maya to the constant romantic disasters, the lad is practically a magnet for misery. And right now the pressure cooker is hissing. He's already buckling under the weight of being a witness in Bear's impending trial. But the real thorn in his side is Dr. Todd. The manipulation has been insidious, hasn't it? Moving into Tug Gill was a massive overstep, and you can see Jacob unraveling week by week. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Ross Barton playing the voice of reason. When Ross spots something is amiss and pushes Jacob to face the music, it sparks something in him. Against the frantic warnings of his colleague Rich, who reckons this is absolute career suicide, Jacob marches straight to HR. The emotional core here is watching a young man who has historically been a victim of older, powerful women finally say, enough. But fans in our forums are deeply divided. Some are cheering him on, while others are convinced Dr. Todd will twist this back onto him. She's cunning, and that chilling look she gives him as he walks into that meeting, pure ice. It makes you wonder if Jacob is playing right into her hands. Is he strong enough to withstand a drawn-out HR battle when he's already stretched so thin? We'll have to wait and see, but speaking of characters struggling to keep their heads above water, wait until you hear what's happening up at Wishing Well. Moira's freedom feels like a trap. Moira Dingle is a free woman, but she's entirely caged by her new reality. The visual of Moira, a woman whose entire identity was rooted in the soil of Butler's farm, now sitting adrift in Wishing Well Cottage, is genuinely heartbreaking. Lydia, bless her, tries to give her and Cain space to rebuild their fractured marriage. We've all been desperate for a classic Moira reunion, haven't we? But in true Emmerdale fashion, Sam accidentally sticks his foot in it, making a joke that leaves Cain feeling totally ambushed. Cain's reaction, storming out because he mistakenly thinks Moira has been broadcasting his deepest insecurities, shows just how fragile they both are right now. The tragedy here isn't just a marital misunderstanding. It's Moira's complete loss of purpose. She isn't a farmer anymore. The Sugden clan has taken her legacy. Who is Moira Dingle without her wellies and her land? The fan theories are already swirling. A lot of viewers reckon this loss of identity might push her towards a dark spiral, perhaps seeking revenge on those who wronged her. And then there's Robert, hovering in the background, quietly drowning in guilt over his part in putting her behind bars in the first place. You can cut the tension with a knife. Will Cain realize he's overreacted before Moira completely shuts down? It's a ticking clock for their marriage. But if you think Moira is having a stressful week, it pales in comparison to the absolute chaos about to unfold on a simple cake run. Before we get to the absolute madness of this next spoiler, if you're enjoying the chat, do hit that subscribe button. We talk Emmerdale theories every single week, and I'd absolutely love to have you join the family. Right, deep breath. Charity's secret explodes in the worst way. Charity Dingle's baby secret erupts in the most spectacular, terrifying way imaginable. Honestly, the sheer farce of Charity secretly carrying her own child while pretending to be a surrogate for Sarah has been a wild ride. But the comedy officially stops next week. It starts innocently enough. A botched cake order for Sarah's baby shower sends Charity and Mack out onto the country roads. Naturally, the car dies. No phones. Middle of nowhere. And then her waters break. We've seen soap births in weird places, but what follows is next-level panic. They manage to flag down a very reluctant Ross Barton, who ferries them to Houghton General, only for the three of them to get trapped in a broken-down lift. Talk about claustrophobia. The emotional weight here is actually split three ways. You've got Charity in blinding agony, Ross entirely out of his depth trying to communicate with a midwife over a crackly intercom, and Mack completely freezing up. The confined space triggers his lingering trauma from the bunker, leaving him practically catatonic when Charity needs him most. It's gripping television. Fans are absolutely losing their minds over the absurdity of Ross Barton playing midwife, but the tone shifts dramatically by the end of the episode. While Sarah is upstairs panicking, and Jacob is completely oblivious in his HR meeting just floors away, Ross manages to deliver the baby. But the celebration is cut brutally short. The cliffhanger leaves us staring at a growing pool of blood. Is Charity going to bleed out in a metal box? The community is terrified she might not pull through, or that the trauma will shatter her and Mack for good. It's a life-or-death scenario that casts a long dark shadow over the village. And speaking of shadows, let's lighten the mood slightly, or maybe not, given the family involved. Kammy faces the ultimate test. Kammy Hadid steps into the lion's den. We've all been rooting for Belle, haven't we? After the horrific ordeal she survived with Tom, seeing her smile again, seeing her share a genuinely sweet kiss with Kammy is exactly what she deserves. She is practically glowing with anticipation for their proper date, but the course of true love never did run smooth in the Dales, especially when the Dingle family is involved. Poor Kammy suddenly realizes that courting Belle means running the gauntlet of a full-blown Dingle function. The sheer panic setting in on his face is priceless. We all know what happens when an outsider tries to infiltrate that family. It's like a bizarre hazing ritual involving too much beer, loud arguments, and probably a rogue pig. The emotional core is Belle's fragile hope for normalcy, clashing with the chaotic reality of her upbringing. Fans are already placing bets on which Dingle will inadvertently terrify Kammy the most. Will Cain give him the classic silent death stare? Will Mandy overwhelm him with leopard print and intrusive questions? There is a real fear among viewers that the family's overwhelming nature might scare off the best thing that's happened to Belle in years. Let's just hope Kammy has the stomach for it. Because across the village, another beloved family member is facing a much bleaker reality. A devastating choice for the Windsors, a devastating blow for Paddy, and a heartbreaking choice for April. The situation with Belle is rapidly spiraling out of control. When Zara turns up with the grim news that Belle has been thrown into solitary confinement after a prison brawl, you can see Paddy's entire world crumble. The reality is hitting him hard. Belle might not survive this, and Paddy's chances of ever seeing him walk free are fading to black. On top of that, there's the looming threat that Paddy and Dylan could also end up behind bars. It's a suffocating amount of pressure for the village vet. Mandy is trying her hardest to be his rock at the salon, but you can see the absolute terror behind her eyes. But the real tearjerker here is the younger generation. April, showing that fierce Windsor loyalty, is determined to stand by Dylan no matter what the judge decides. But Dylan, in a misguided attempt to protect her from the stigma of being a prisoner's girlfriend, decides to freeze her out. Marlon, finding out and spilling Dylan's sacrificial plan to April, sets up a massive emotional confrontation. Fan reaction to this is pure heartbreak. We've watched April grow up, and seeing her face this kind of adult grief is tough. Will she accept Dylan's noble but painful rejection, or will she fight for him? That is a wrap for next week's absolute madness. Honestly, my nerves are shredded just thinking about Charity in that lift. What do you reckon? Will she make it out alive? Drop your best theories in the comments below. Hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra!